Welcome back to the Ready or Not lore series, where in today's episode, we will discuss the map, Port Hokan. This video will be divided up into two sections, the first being all in-game / developer confirmed information, and the second being my own theories as to where the story and world may go in the future. Federal and state authorities have been tipped off to a large shipment of weapons moving through the Port Hokan area, leading to a major joint task force crackdown in order to capture and detain any and all individuals involved. Our prime suspect is an unknown individual authorities have been calling Marin. They have been spotted with an entourage of well-armed security meeting with specific targets at the Port Hokan facility. Suspects on site have also been known to present themselves as workers within the Port Hokan area, so hostiles may appear inconspicuous. With no known civilians in the area, let's not listen to the briefing, but instead, let's listen to the informant report first.
I was told you wanted to speak with me.
Yeah, I got something you're gonna love, but it's gonna cost you.
Well, you don't make those decisions. I do.
Double. No. Triple.
We're done here.
God damn it. Sit down, will you? This is serious. I've got something serious for you, but I need to get out if I tell you.
Out?
Out of the city, out of the state, hell, even out of the country.
Steady on, cowboy. Tell me what you've got, and then we'll talk. I've always been fair in the past.
Yeah, you have. But this is something different. I'm sure you guys already know about some dodgy-ass shit going on at the port.
We might.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Well, I happen to know a guy who knows a guy who works down at the port. He told us about the shit that's going on down there, the stuff that's coming through. We're talking about a supply chain that runs from South America and up into Canada. Everything on the West Coast moves through Los Sueños.
Drugs?
No, man, bigger. Guns. Big guns, and lots of them. They're coming in on these big, Russian ships. It's the biggest unkept secret on the docks. Everybody knows it's going on, but they've all got the common sense not to say anything about it.
Interesting. So what makes you so stupid to do it?
I'm in trouble anyway, and I need out. Like I said, I need out. Out!
We'll see. When's the next shipment coming in?
That's just it. They're always coming in. Day or night, it's just a constant stream. But tomorrow night, that's the motherlode. They got everything coming down to work. I'm talking about the biggest shipment they've ever had. It would be a fucking gold mine for you.
Forgive me for not jumping with joy. Something about this doesn't feel right.
Jesus, Sweat, man, this is real. The realest thing ever. You've got to trust me. I've never given you the wrong advice before.
I'll make some calls and ask around. If this pans out, I'll be in touch. Now, scram before someone recognizes you.
Yeah, it's me. I've just gotten word on something that's going to interest your department. Meet me at the usual coffee house in 15.
So an informant told the LSPD about an illegal weapons supply chain that deals from South America all the way up to Canada, expecting a shipment to arrive at Port Hokan. Basically, this is where everything illegal comes in. This was teased during the Caesars car dealership map, and with this mission taking place February 18th, 2026, just 8 days after the Caesars raid, it's safe to assume that the LSPD and other government agencies have had their eyes on this place. So this tip just confirmed their suspicions. Because of how serious this operation is, it evolved into a joint task force, thus leading us to the mission briefing.
All right. I know we're not used to such a crowd, but here's the deal. This case is something that we've all gotten our toes wet on for the last year or so. Thanks to conversations between Reed and some agents across FISA and other agency teams, we've managed to get enough intel to form a picture of what's going on. Following information gathered at the Caesars car dealership in North Hills, we understand that there's a significant transnational deal going down tonight at Port Hokan, right here in the city. Seems that a group of local arms dealers have been stockpiling large quantities of modified weapons to be sent to cartels and smugglers in Mexico, fueling tensions along our border. This group is using a series of Russian container ships to haul cargo all across the western seaboard. We've located and traced cargo arriving in Vancouver and all the way down to Colombia. This is a big operation. We estimate over $1 million worth of product every few weeks in exchange here. It's been going on for quite some time. Most, if not all, of the cargo is coming out of this singular point of exchange at the port of Los Sueños. Now, we're not entirely sure where the cargo is being held. The port is a busy place, it's running day and night, there's a lot of fucking activity going on, and it's about 7,500 acres of space. However, we've managed to isolate it down to 3 terminals. Reservation Terminal A, or Warehouse 1 area, Terminal D, and Terminal J. LSPD will take Terminal A, HRT will focus on Terminal D, and ATF is on Terminal J. THU will be on standby for aerial support, but we want to keep this quiet until shit goes down, so expect a 10 to 20 minute delay, best case if the weather holds. We're looking at the worst time to launch this, folks. Antonio is making landfall tonight. It's gonna get bad. Now, rather than slow things down anymore, each of your individual leads has the exact details of what we're doing. They'll brief you all individually as you head out. I don't think there's a need for me to stress how important this mission is. Gear up! Report back to your element leaders in the garage in 5 minutes.
First things first, the Federal Investigation and Security Agency, or FISA, like the USIA, is the Ready or Not universe's equivalent of the FBI, just like the USIA is their equivalent of the CIA. But they just reiterate how important this operation is. Basically, everyone needs to get in, get the guns, and lock everything down. Arriving on site, we immediately see this new and improved Port Hokan. Almost everything about this map is now different, and the presence of the spider is greater than ever. The beginning section of this map is rather unassuming. We have the objective to look for spider-marked shipping crates in order to locate the weapons. However, things are not quite as they seem as we stumble upon more than just guns, but shipments of drugs as well. Moving along, we enter our first building. We find the Blue Fuel Gas Reserve, where we can find an article that reads, Los Sueños is abuzz with concern as Blue Fuel, a prominent natural gas company, grapples with a pressing issue. Their once plentiful natural gas reserves are now on the brink of exhaustion. This unexpected turn of events has stirred apprehension about the city's energy stability and the immediate path forward for Blue Fuel, a key player in Los Sueños' energy landscape. So we've talked about this energy crisis likely hitting Los Sueños for a while now. However, that was only regarding the defunct dam. Now we know it expands beyond that. Hydroelectric issues aren't the only things hurting the city. If this company goes under and they are a, quote, key player in Los Sueños' energy landscape, then it's safe to assume the rolling blackouts hitting the city, or soon to be hitting the city, will get much, much worse. Exiting the building and stepping back out into the open, we don't find much besides multiple hostiles. However, before entering the warehouse, we find one last spider-marked shipping crate, and I'll just let this scene play out.
Talk. We have a container full of women. We need Thames down here right now.
Copy that, entry team. EMTs and trailers.
This is FISA. Stand down and shut that door, entry team. We're sending a unit to secure the container and its contents.
What? We're not leaving them like this.
Close the doors. Unless you want to interfere with a federal investigation, I suggest you shut the door and lock it behind you. Do your job and proceed with your mission. Understood?
Understood. Put the other guy back on. We'll talk later.
No, we won't be. FISA out.
Entry team, you are cleared to proceed with the mission.
So this is something unprecedented. There was basically a little scene that played out here. Most of the time when we find evidence or just tell Talk that we found it, he tells us to move on. In this case, FISA chimed in and pretty much told us off. Judge clearly wanted to make sure the girls would be safe, but FISA just said leave them behind and move on. But what stands out to me is how Judge was weirdly against this order. We'll get into this more later, but damn, do I love to see some drama popping off. Like, y'all are making this little theater nerd happy. Anyway, since I blurred it out, I should mention for those who haven't played the mission yet, but all, if not most, of the girls inside the container are the girls from the photos found at Caesars. It appears we were able to rescue them before they were all shipped out. Entering through a control tower and ascending to the top, we can find a computer with a chat room open that reads, "Hey dude, seriously, we gotta talk. There's some seriously strange shit happening in the back of the warehouse. We are not allowed anywhere near the back, and on late shifts, there are cars and trucks that turn up and leave and they are not on the records anywhere. I swear to God, I'm going crazy. I'm sure I heard a woman scream." His friend goes on to say they need to keep their head down and just do their job and get paid. to which he agrees. Entering into the warehouse itself, we can't really find anything of note until we actually go to the back. Once there, we find the last spider-marked crate, this time with the name Belly of the Beast written on it. Entering the container, we see it's more than meets the eye and leads us to a strange sight. Mannequins surround us, barbed wire clings to the walls and ceilings, and spider logos are everywhere. Then we see it. The auction room. Mannequins watch us from the ceiling, chains dangle from the roof, and computers with masked individuals sit quietly waiting for today's menu, and as soon as we enter the room, the monsters on the computer immediately log out, leaving behind the spider logo. But perhaps what's most terrifying is when we look straight up and find the spider. Looking on a nearby computer, we see that there are 7 bidders in the lobby, and there are at least 15 items on sale. On the back wall, we can find various disturbing-looking GIMP masks, as well as a bloody flog called the Hose. It's here we can typically find Marin too, a man continuing this weird GIMP theme we've just seen. This place is a total nightmare, and the deeper we dive into this area, the more terrifying it becomes. In the back, we find the holding cell, with writing across the wall that says, "Do as you're f***ing told, or you will get the hose." And here we find disgusting beds, bags of dog food, and cages. Moving out to the back, we can see it's where the girls would have been dropped off, as we can see large box trucks full of discarded clothes. And on that terrifying note, that's all of note on this map, so let's take a look at the evidence. First, we have an email sent to the port manager, Steve Rickards, with demands regarding control of Port Hokan and its assets. After the incident, the email and numerous others used as blackmail attempts were used by the LSPD and federal agencies to charge many other members who were later apprehended. Next, we have a 1951 Stechkin APS belonging to a crime boss named Andrei. Through Andrei's underworld career, he received many gifts. One such gift being an original 1951 Stechkin APS from one of his ex-Soviet Navy associates. Andrei made tweaks to this pistol, sporting a new silver slide and a 10-karat gold Orthodox crucifix pendant attached below the grip. During the panic of the Port Hokan raid, Andrei attempted to make a daring escape after a vicious gun battle with members of the FISA HRT. The pistol was later discovered, lodged between 2 crates, in an attempt to discard the firearm. Seeing its unique visual appearance, the HRT passed the weapon onto the LSPD as a humble gift. And finally, we have a painting found within the Red Room's holding area. Drafted on the back, there are secret notes from various trafficked women. And with that, that's everything new on the Port Hokan map. So let's discuss a few things. The main thing I want to focus on is Judge as a character. Out of every single mission we've been on, all the things Judge has seen/done, why isn't now? When working a joint operation with FISA, Judge pushes back on orders. They obviously weren't expecting to find women in that shipping container, but when FISA told Judge to lock the door and move on, I think that was a fairly reasonable request. They're in an area with multiple hostiles, so the request by FISA to leave them locked up to be recovered later makes total sense. So why was Judge against it? To me, this hints at some backstory for Judge. Perhaps seeing those girls in that crate unlocked some past trauma that Judge was trying to move on from. Maybe there was a similar mission he was on in the past, where a scenario like this played out, and in doing so, those civilians he left behind ended up dead. Whatever it may be, I really hope we get some more of these character moments in the future, because going through all the missions in the campaign and coming out on the end, quote-unquote, completely fine, is completely out of the question for any of the characters. This whole campaign is basically prime real estate for some good-ass character drama that I really hope the writers delve into in future updates. Besides that, there's not much else to theorize about. The spider is definitely not gone. This was probably one of their many locations they used to auction off and traffic women. And just because we stopped this one, doesn't mean the whole operation is now over. As we heard from the informant, the spider basically has control over the entire western coast of North and South America. They ship guns, drugs, weapons, and potentially other things. If I were to take a wild guess, I would assume this location we raided is one hub out of 8. Even though this was a major success for the LSPD and FISA, I don't think in the long run it'll impact the spider all that much. However, the impact on the officers is probably far greater.